Let's get loaded on Lansdowne.
I really hate that nosy bitch.
What's that?
That nosy bitch. This being is being no shit, dude. Mind your own business.
I know. Well, it's just weird because, we're not the only people that do. I mean, I'm sure other people edit it out and we're lazy pieces of shit.
But
we don't. But
it's for people's protection. It's like, dude, just assume you're being recorded when you're in front of your computer. Like, I assume every meeting is being recorded.
Right. Exactly.
No, it's because what's his face in the New York Times thought he was off camera and decided to start hammering himself. And
that was not the best look. And
OJ was happy about it.
Yeah, I mean that was
it was the guy who wrote the OJ book, so trust me, OJ was happy.
Did you see the kid? I think he was I didn't have my glasses on this morning, but I think he was a Padres fan. Did you see the kid pick his nose and eat it on like national TV? Like they just had the camera on him, and he was like, he was like a normal looking dude, and he's just like, they were talking about the Padres or something. And he had a Padres shirt on, and he just did this thing, and and just
and there's a number one, anyone who says I've never, okay, whatever, but like, oh, it's so gross, but like, there's a million things you can do and then it looks like you're did they actually talk about it and like go back?
See, that's the thing. Whenever I'm at the stadium, to your point about the camera being on, whenever I'm at the park, I assume there's a camera on me, like because I'm always conscious about what I'm touching and you don't want to be like that guy, right? You're like, oh, my ear's itchy, and then your ear itchy guy, and then that's you, and you're like,
or you say in the 8th inning you want to take a little snooze, you know what I mean? So, sometimes you need a little rest before, and you're gonna end up
throwing up all over the bleachers. You don't really want
things happy.
You don't want people to see that. Listen. All right, welcome to episode number 102 of the Loaded on Lansdowne Red Sox baseball podcast. I'm your host, Mark Chikaris. Alongside me virtually today is Andrew Andrews, and we got a lot to talk about today. Andy, I want to talk briefly. Last time we met, the Red Sox were going into Oakland, and that was scary to me.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah, because the A's are a good team, and the Red Sox do not, generally speaking, do well out in Oakland. So I kind of looked up some numbers here. By the way, Red Sox win the series, and the one game they lost was by one run, right?
Yep.
So they played really well out in Oakland, which is rare for them. They are, well, first of all, they're 1,090 and 902 all time against the A's in history. Okay. Away, they're 484 and 508. That's a 48% winning percentage. All right. So there's only 4 other teams, I believe, in the AL that's lower than that for the Sox.
Really?
Just out of curiosity, do you think you could name where the Red Sox have a worse away percentage off the top of your head? Give me 1 or 2.
If I had to guess, just by what I've watched over my lifetime, Kansas City always seems like a nightmare. Even though they've sucked for so many years, it seems like they lose a lot of games in Kansas City.
You're close. And I was surprised with this. So most of the teams are in the AL Central.
Really?
So the White Sox, which is weird. The White Sox, the Twins, they have the worst away losing percentage against.
Yeah, I can see that. Now that you say it, I think
back those Metrodome days were brutal.
A lot of really good years where all of a sudden they get swept in Minnesota. Again.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the other one was Detroit Tigers, which makes sense. I mean, the Tigers had good teams in the 60s. And
they've been around for 1,000 years. So
yeah. But struggles have been recent too, because if you look at it by decades, they kind of broke it down. The 2010s, all right, the Red Sox were 12 and 26 against the A's in Oakland, which is awesome. In the 2000s, a little bit better. They were 21 and 25. The 1990s, surprisingly, because the A's had those good teams in the late 80s and early 90s. 33 and 29, And then, of course, the 80s was bad, 25-37. So they've always struggled in Oakland. So to go in there, Oakland's like the antithesis of Fenway Park. It's just gigantic. And, there's so much foul territory. It's just a different place to play.
What a dump stadium. I was thinking about it when I was watching it too. Behind home plate, where they've kind of set up like that clearly luxury box area, but it's so clear like that the real stadium for football is like a mile away from it's awful.
Yeah, it's not a good stadium, and
the whole upper deck they don't even sell tickets to. It looked like
no, they cover it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those old school stadiums that served both. So.
It'd be unfair you get 80 games. It looks bad when you cover a whole section. But what you expect them to have 100,000 people at every game?
Right, exactly. And they do it so it doesn't look bad. Everyone knows what it's there for, but they do it to cover themselves. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. The Red Sox played really well. Specifically, and there were two last night, so I kind of want to tie all this together. But right now, the Red Sox outfield, specifically Kike Hernandez, is
talking about that catch,
is playing out of their damn minds. He made a catch in Fenway a couple of games ago that was out of control. He's leaping up. He's robbing home runs. The outfield in general lead the major leagues in outfield assists. So
JD Martinez threw someone out at home plate.
Yep, JD Martinez is throwing people out. Hunter Renfroe, Verdugo's got a cannon. He's throwing people out. Kike Hernandez is throwing people out. Santana nailed someone at home yesterday. Kike nailed someone at second yesterday. So the Red Sox have 28 outfield assists. The team with the second highest number is the Marlins with 19.
Wow.
So
wow.
They're far ahead.
It's almost like you're saying that great defense is replaceable.
Yeah, exactly. And you can almost
I know that's
sacrilege.
The altar of Jackie Bradley.
Right. But it also means that you can have defense without and adding a little bit more offense.
Yes.
And it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay. But here's, looking at those numbers, this is what I'm thinking. This is like the nuances of the game where teams now have to look at the Red Sox and say, all right, we almost have to go station to station. So in other words, the Red Sox arms are preventing, or should be, I'm not in the brain of every third base coach, but when there's a line drive out to Hunter Renfroe, and it's going to be a base hit. If there's a guy on first, you got to think twice about taking, going first to third, because he's going to hose you. If he's playing right field. And, you saw Kike Hernandez literally save the game the other day. Center field, it wasn't hit deep, but you still got to make an accurate throw. And, it's hard to do that, so they're making it happen. And teams really, the Yankees ran wild on the Red Sox, got thrown out all over the place.
Yep.
So, that good teams, smart teams are going to have to look at this and say, okay, we got to cool it. Hopefully we can get, maybe we can move a runner over or something, but they're not going to be running on him. And that's a big deal. That is a big deal. If you're, instead of having a guy on third base, he's on second. That's a big deal. Cause now, sacrifice fly, it's just a pop out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's interesting. I know there's no real way to quantify that, because you don't know what teams are thinking in their heads.
Yeah.
It would be interesting for someone to kind of ask other teams, coaches, how they feel about the Red Sox outfield arms. So your thoughts on
what's starting to show up in the scouting reports? Is it something now that they're looking for, that the idea that these guys have great arms and this is something you got to be careful of? And it goes to show, it's this, you gotta, we crap on Chaim Bloom when the time comes, and trust me, with the trade deadline coming up, we'll talk about that. But you got to give him some credit, because this has got his fingerprints all over it. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's worked out so well so far.
Right. Yeah. And again, last season was kind of an aberration, and, they kind of didn't have a manager, and, I think, everyone was kind of bummed out and everything else. So bad season. I think this is more representative of, this is more representative of Chaim Bloom as a baseball exec, as a GM, as a team builder. And I think it's also more representative of who Alex Cora really is as a manager. He comes in 2018, they win the World Series. 2019, clearly the World Series hangover. And then, Dombrowski didn't really change the team. You know what I mean? So and that's always dangerous. You always have to, you can't, unless it's all young players, but he didn't really change the team. He brought back guys and he signed Evaldi, which by the way is looking like an okay deal. Sale got hurt, and then it's just I think he re-signed Steve Pierce and Mitch Moreland and all these guys. Great guys, love you, mean it. Sunset Heart hands, you know what I mean? But
you can't get paid for what you did.
Exactly.
What you're gonna do. Yep.
And again, unless it's they didn't blow up the young guys, the young outfielders until season later, but you just can't have that same team. So 2020, of course, Cora is suspended. So, and then that's a joke of a season anyway. It was awful. And then Cora's back, and you say what you want about his on-field decisions, but the players love playing for Alex Cora.
Oh, there's no doubt at all. They like playing for him. Clearly he connects to these guys a way that, and in a time where it seems it's almost impossible to connect to these players, you know what I mean? The old white mustache guy just ain't doing it anymore. You know what I mean? You need people who speaks their language. You need people, and whether that language is actually Spanish,
exactly,
or that language is younger guy. You know what I mean? We're even getting to the point where we're almost too old to speak their language. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it just the grizzled old guy getting it done just doesn't seem to be the deal anymore.
Yeah, we're not looking at Jim Leland. I don't think his style is going to fly. Early.
That's Cora just figured out a new way to cheat, maybe.
Yeah, that could be.
That's always going to be there, right?
And you know what? If he did, they're doing a hell of a job. So keep it up, boys, and kudos to you.
We'll apologize after, exactly.
All right, so the Sox play the Angels yesterday. They win. Of course they win because the Angels blow. So
a lot of people in that stadium, I noticed. Most I've seen in a long time in that stadium.
Yep. Well, Shohei Ohtani is pitching tonight against the Red Sox. He was recently voted into the All-Star game as the first Major League Baseball player ever to be selected for pitching and hitting, right?
Oh, I think Major League Baseball hurt us because I think this has a lot to do with the idea that he's going to do the home run derby. He's going to pitch. He's going to be the DH. You know what I mean? Finally.
Yep. Yeah. Finally, they're doing something right. Yep. They're doing something right. So he's going to go against the Red Sox. He's only had one start against the Red Sox in his career. I want to say it was, I think it was last year. He's been in the league since 2018. I'm almost positive it was last year, but he's 0-1. He pitched 2 innings. He gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, walked 2, gave up a homer. So not the greatest outing for Shohei, and I believe it was at Fenway Park. What do you got? What do you think he's gonna go out there and be lights out today? You think the Red Sox are gonna be able to handle him? What do you think?
I think he's going to pitch well because I think he's just playing really well right now. I think he's kind of one of those players who's kind of in the moment where he's not going to do much wrong. You know what I mean? Besides, hopefully, not the next big injury coming. But again, I see it like a typical Red Sox game where they might not get much done with him, but they hold on enough, and then they can kind of, you know what I mean? I don't feel like this team is out of it at any time during the game.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things where, they might get a couple runs, but I'd be more worried about him getting a home run late in the game or something like that against, and we'll talk about
what was scary about yesterday. Of course, he made the last out, but he was up and they had men on, and Ottavino got him to hit into the shift. That's a base hit if they don't shift. So whoever called that shift, kudos to you. Assuming it was Cora, but you never know. I'm
excited to see him pitch because you see the highlights with the home runs all the time because he hits more often. unless you're really looking for him, you kind of miss the pitching highlights. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to really focus in and see what kind of stuff he's got and see what he's bringing.
Me too. I think it's going to be a good game. And I'll have to drink 10 cups of coffee to watch it. But
I love West Coast in the summer. When we're not working, I love West Coast games.
Yep.
Everyone's in bed. You just can kind of sit down on the couch and drift in and out sometimes. But love it.
Excuse me. All right. So Andy, you want to talk about the Sox bullpen?
Yeah, I mean it's really crazy. If I had one thing that I was really crapping on, it was the pitching staff of the Red Sox, and in particular this bullpen. And as of now, we're at the All-Star break pretty much. So I kind of owe the team an apology. I'm sure it's really bothered them. You know what I mean? As far from what I've understand, when they're playing this on
I've seen some tweets about it. So yeah,
I'm sure bullpen. But I mean, especially you look at people like. And the biggest thing I had a problem with was walks, you know what I mean? Yep. And it hasn't been, besides Darwinian, because he does. He's got 27 innings, 23 walks. He walks too many people. He's been okay too lately.
Yeah.
But I mean, Josh Taylor, dude, the guy who I just thought was a bum.
Yeah.
All right. He's pitched 30 innings. He's only given up one home run. And that's I mean, come on, in today's baseball to do 30 innings, and he's only walked 12 people. So it's, he's got some control. He's doing well like that. He's impressed me. Otto Benito, who I thought was another kind of bag of shit that they picked up, good stuff, throws fast, but I thought he was just kind of one of those guys who wild thing, hit the ball in the back and then it'd be done.
Yeah, Joe Kelly just doesn't even know where the ball's going when it leaves his hands.
He has given up 0 home runs this year. He hasn't given up a home run yet. Okay. And again, 36 innings, he's only walked 20 people.
Yeah.
So it just, these guys are doing great. And then finally, it's still the guy who I still don't want to trust him. I'm still worried about him. He still needs to show me the playoffs. But Matt Barnes, I mean, come on, dude.
Yep.
Guy looks great.
What does he have? 19 saves, I believe, right now.
Yep, 19 saves, 37 innings pitched. He's only given up 11 runs. He's only walked 10 people.
Yep.
I mean, he's got 62 strikeouts. It's really.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing you thought they had to do was bullpen. And again, I wouldn't reach for a bullpen guy. You know what I mean? I'll get somebody who for nothing, you know what I mean? Waiver wire, pick up depth. And I hate the word depth when we talk about the trade deadline, but
and then you got Tanner Houck too. I mean, if you don't want to bring him up now, I understand, because there's really no reason to, because the Red Sox are rolling. But
Whitlock's not horrible.
Yeah, I mean, he was out of this world when the season started. But I mean, even Ottavino, I think Ottavino has 8. He has 8 saves.
Yeah.
So when Barnes can't go, I mean, you look at the Red Sox, and I'm sure there are a couple other guys that have a save or two thrown in there. But now you're looking at, this bullpen might already have 30 saves. You know what I'm saying?
It's a real good situation where, especially if you have somebody who's not available, if you can kind of find a way to juggle it, so it's either Ottavino or Barnes who's not available day to day.
Yeah,
you can rest the guy, you can close the guy, so you're in good shape right there.
Yeah, and I think they've been doing a really good job with that, and credit.
And that weirdo and the Japanese dude who just again scares the hell out of me. It looks like he's just gunning the ball as hard as he can.
Yeah,
he's still 34 innings pitched for him. He
walks a lot of dudes.
18 walks. It's less than you think.
Yeah, that's true.
It's less than you think. He's given up 7 home runs, so he didn't give up some bombs, but he's not. I mean,
he's a middle reliever. What do you want from the guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why they're not starters, because they're not as good. You know what I mean?
It's a bunch of guys who couldn't be starters. Because I mean, let's be honest, Matt Barnes wanted to be a starter when this whole thing started. You know what I mean? Years ago, so they all wanted to be starters, and I don't blame them, because you cash it in. But we're on a radio. People don't know what this means. So it's. Yeah, they're really pitching well. It doesn't seem like the group of people that would be doing it, but but then you look back at the years when they've won. Is it ever this out of the gate? No team, very rare. out of the gate stud bullpen. That no, it's always these guys. You're like, wow, I thought this dude was a bum. Did you know he hasn't given up a run this month? You know what I mean? Like those things just happen, and it seems to be happening.
Well, even in 2018, I mean, Craig Kimbrell was like a heart attack. I mean, he was just
exactly.
You know, he would get the save and the Red Sox would win, but he'd also, you know, put 3 guys on base with no outs, and then he'd strike them all out on 50 pitches. Like, oh.
We all got cherry glass. You know, we're seeing the path through these rose-colored glasses, but like Craig Kimbrell before 2018, it wasn't like, oh, we got our closer. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, he's going to make the team. We'll see where he fits in.
Yep. And I mean, he was established at the time, but you know, it was one of those things where with any of these bullpen guys, I think it shakes down who's throwing well and who's going to close. You know, that's it. All right. So
wait, hold on though. The negative Nancy in me, of course, is it too early for these guys to be peaking? You know what I mean? Are we at that point? I do worry about it. Do they have, if one guy gets injured, if 2 guys get injured, do they have, you know, you're right, they got some guys, Tanner Hawk, who can maybe fit in, but the negative in me says, is it too early for these guys really to be this good?
I mean, I think you've already seen some ebb and flows, like Mike Andreezy or whatever. He's terrible right now. So I mean, you know, they have some stinkers in there too. You know, he's you know, he hasn't been the best, but I think when you know, we're already in, you know, what is this, the second week of July here?
Yeah.
And you know, there's been a couple of peaks and valleys, but they've been pretty steady, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see too many spikes and, you know, and declines, because then you know that they're inconsistent. And you know, that's like, you know, that's where it's you know, it's the Joe Kelly effect, right? The guy lights out for 2 weeks, then he's, you know, has a 7 ERA the next 2, right?
Can we talk about Joe Kelly for a millisecond?
Yeah, sure.
Did you see what he wore to the White House?
Yes.
I guess it's described as a
Matador jacket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he looked like a jackass.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
Was he just being funny? Is he
I think so. But he looked terrible.
Like, dude, you're an adult.
I mean, this isn't like.
The only thing he didn't wear was those stupid Joey Kelly glasses that he wears when he's the undercover reporter. Right. You know what I mean? Like, remember that? What are you doing for? Like, oh, God damn it. You're not good enough to be a goofball like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Johnny Gomes, where he wore the American flag blazer to the White House after the Red Sox won in 2000.
Also, though, Johnny Gomes is a certified douchebag, and he kind of wears that on his sleeve. You know what I mean? He's not.
But I mean, you're going to the White House and you wear an American flag blazer. I wouldn't do it, but I get it. But going to the White House and wearing like a short matador coat with like tails or whatever.
Mariachi band, that's the word. Yeah.
Mariachi band. It's just like, what are you doing, dude? All right. Anyway, well, speaking of the Red Sox bullpen, there were, speaking of Matt Barnes, there were the all-star selections this past week. The Red Sox have 2 starters in Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts. So the whole left side of the.
I mean, how crazy is that? The idea that the Red Sox have the shortstop and third base. It really is. I mean, that's for the Boston Red Sox, man. And they're both. It's not like it's some veteran who they brought in and paid $1 gajillion, who's now the. You know what I mean? He was the all-star for Texas last year, and now no. Right. 2 homegrown products, young, still in their early 20s, taking that side of the field. That is just amazing. And you know, I was reading if there's any slights, they said really the only one, and it's just ironic to think about it. The only real argument could maybe be Moncada on third base, who was a Boston Red Sox.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. And of course, Matt Barnes gets selected to go. So, you know,
it's a no-brainer, I think.
That's a no-brainer. I would agree with that. Nate Eovaldi gets the call, which also, I mean, I think he's deserving of it. He's got a sub-4 ERA. He's having, you know, he's got 9 or 10 wins, whatever it is. You know, so that's good. JD Martinez also makes the cut. He's going to be starting the game on the bench, but he'll probably get in the game. I would assume after Shohei. Well, you never know. They might want to leave Shohei in the whole game as the DH. You know what I'm saying?
He's going to do everything, so they can't take him out until he pitches. I mean, I don't know. I guess
there's going to be a double switch thing in there, which I'm unsure of. Like I don't think he can't go from pitcher to DH. I don't think you can do that. I think
no, you go the other way, but you lose the DH.
Right, you lose the DH.
So it'll be the first time in Major League history where the American League. Where's the game?
Colorado.
Oh, so there is no DH, right?
I think they. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they do play with the DH.
Good, get more guys playing.
Get more guys in there, and I think that happened like a bunch of years ago.
But for JD Martinez, I mean, if things don't go terrible, he's right in line for your Major League player comeback player of the year, right? After the year that he had last year. I mean, if last year you were to tell me JD Martinez decided to retire after the way he looked last year, wouldn't we all be like, yeah, that might be
it's kind of breaking down. Yep, but this year,
you know what I mean? Like you'd be like, oh, I get it, you know. It really is something special that he's doing this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just got the vibe from JD Martinez whenever I kind of saw him in interviews or whatever, or when I did that Zoom call. I think it was like, you know, like a lot of people. Some people are like, wow, I really enjoy this time off. You know, not to say he didn't want to play baseball, but he's kind of like, you know, throw your hands in the air, you kind of shrug, and now you start playing in July, and if you have a couple of bad weeks, you have a bad month, well, that's it, your season's done.
I mean, these guys, these weren't like your COVID not working people who were worried about the rent and stuff like that.
Right. No, I understand.
It's probably a pretty good little vacation.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, I know he was out on his boat a lot.
Yeah, we decided to hide in Bora Bora. Okay.
Yeah, and I think he's neighbors with like Mike Napoli. And like, you know Napoli, he's just like pounding Budweisers, like, you know, and like fishing like all day on their yacht.
That doesn't seem like they don't.
Yeah, that's an odd couple right there.
Yeah, it really is. Like you know, JD Martinez is having his quiet prayer time, and all of a sudden, you know, old Nap smoking a cig. Yeah, you know,
smoking his cig with his shirt off. Just kind of comes in with Budweiser. Hey, anybody home?
How much do you think Mike Napoli weighs right now?
It's a good question. I mean,
do you think he just blew up like a tick? He had the chance to.
He seems like, to me, the kind of guy that he's still gonna like throw up the weights because he's.
I was gonna say, or he's just like powerlifting every day.
Right. Like I think he's just gonna be like fat strong.
Yeah, you know, he's not doing legs.
You know what I mean? Like he's just gonna be like
no cardio, no legs.
His arms are gonna be huge, but he's kind of gonna be fat because he's just drinking and like eating cheeseburgers.
He's gonna bench press. He's gonna do curls. Right. He's gonna do the lats.
Yeah.
He's gonna look at the leg machine. He's gonna look at the leg machine and go, nah. And the treadmill is on the curb. It's gone.
He's basically like, the weight of my body is enough leg work for me. You know what I mean?
I walk through the water to get on my boat.
All right, yeah, exactly. All right. So trade deadline acquisition. So obviously trade deadline is July 31st. We're a couple of weeks away from that. But if you remember, I think it was in 2018 when Dombrowski was still in charge. He made a bunch of moves early in that, that trade deadline season, I guess you could say. But I think he was trading for dudes in May and June. He wasn't waiting for all these shoes to drop and to see how things panned out. He was very proactive. So where do you think the Red Sox stand with this? Obviously, you look at the standings and say, clearly they don't need anything right now. They keep winning, but I think they do need a couple of pieces.
Yeah, I think they do. I think if we're talking position players, I think a glaring problem is still first base.
Yep.
I just think, and maybe Bobby Dobbock's got what it's going to be someday. This isn't his year. It's with young kids like that, it's kind of, if you start in the hole, it's really hard to expect them to kind of, no, I mean, listen, people like Pedroia did it. I think when he started out, he was dog shit for a while, and so I mean, it does happen. Right. There is rumors about the guy from Miami, Jesus Aguilar.
Yep.
Who, I don't know much about him. I was just kind of looks a little bit like David Ortiz. I'm not gonna lie. So I kind of like that. he's all right this year. He's not great. He's got a 480 slugging percentage, which isn't too bad. He's got 12 home runs in the season so far.
Right.
What's he like 268 to get, so not terrible, not great. They think they could get him for not much. What the number 15 prospect is Branner Bonsi.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that, which again, that's not a huge splash or anything like that. That falls more into the depth. But I do think they gotta, and I'm reading off a website, so that's why I know that guy's name. Let's not be that impressed with me. Hey, come on. But
I never am. No.
Yeah, thank you. There's some guy who we've never heard of, maybe, or you probably heard of. There's some guy that I've never heard of to fill in that first base to be your
Mitch Moreland
something
guy.
They need if anything, they need just someone who can have some contact at playing first base, because it's just he's got like 12 home runs now, Bobby Dahlbeck, I think, which is nice, but like if he's not hitting a home run, he's not even touching the ball.
Yeah, he strikes out a lot, and everyone calls him Michael Chavis 2.0. You know what I mean? It's just like those guys, right? As presently constituted, those two players are like 4A in my opinion. Are 4A players, and I think you do need, if you're going to get another first baseman, I think he needs to be left-handed, and he needs, to your point, I'd like to see some contact numbers there, and if you need a home run late in a game, you can put Bobby Dahlbeck in there, something like that, kind of platoon situations. I agree.
I'd also like to see another starter. Again, no huge name or something like that, but I'd like to see a fourth or fifth starter.
Yep.
Someone who can, because with right now Perez looks good right now, but I mean, anywhere that third, fourth, fifth guy.
Right.
It's nice to have a number 6 guy who those guys can just kind of rotate around,
Well, hey, Andy, Nate Eovaldi has not been hurt yet this year, really. So
that's true, and
it's coming.
Right, it's gotta be something, right?
Granted, Erod has been more healthy over the past couple. I know last year he had COVID and didn't play, but early in his career, Erod was always on the DL. The IL.
Yeah.
But he seems to have limited that to, instead of missing 3 starts now, he might miss 1. You know what I mean? He hasn't been too bad, but you always have to be concerned about that. And I think to your point, I think you get a guy that, isn't if for instance, if Chris Sale comes back, if everyone's healthy, you can get a guy who you can move into the bullpen as well, and isn't going to be all, pissy pants about it. I think you can maybe pick up a swingman from another team. I agree. I mean, I don't think as presently constituted, I don't think the bullpen really needs help. Starting pitching depth is good. I mean, but you do have Sale coming, and you do have Tanner Houck. But yeah, we'll see what they can get. It's going to be interesting. I think they're going to pick up, and I hope they do. They're going to pick up some bargain guys that Chaim Bloom is so good at picking off the sale rack.
Across baseball, it doesn't seem like, rumor-wise, it doesn't seem like there's really going to be any big names moving during this trade period. It doesn't seem like that's really kind of in the cards, something that's going to happen.
Well,
a lot of it has to do with the way the wild card. There's a lot more teams that still have some chance.
And the other thing is, and to your point, when you look at the standings, the Red Sox obviously are a big market team, but you look at some of these other teams, and they're not huge market teams. So be interesting to see if the Rays do anything big to try to make up some ground on the Red Sox. It'd be interesting to see, but the Cardinals aren't really up top. The Cardinals aren't up top. The Yankees aren't up top. The Cubs aren't.
No, you're right.
I mean, you're looking at the Giants and the Padres. And I know
maybe in the National League West, between those 3 teams that are fighting it out, you might see something happen.
Well, they're going to have to
argue they did all their work in the offseason. I mean, it was a big arms deal in the offseason. So.
But I mean, they're going to have, all 3 of those teams are going to have to do something, because they're all so close, and that's right now, that's the best division in baseball. That's the most compelling division in baseball, because they all hate each other and everything else. Oh, speaking of hating, did you see this thing where the Marlins were playing the Braves. So Ronald Acuna Jr. was up, and the first pitch of the game, the Marlins pitcher hit him.
Oh yeah.
And I guess it's like the 6th time the Braves have hit Ronald Acuna Jr. over the past couple of years. And the pitcher, and you could tell as soon as he hit him, he kind of, he went, damn it, dude, he got ejected after the first pitch.
So they were there warnings before the game?
There was no warnings before the games. They just said the Braves manager went nuts, and they kind of got together and they said they tried to figure out whether it was intentional or not. After they conferenced, they said yes, it was, which I don't agree with.
How can you conference and really tell that? I mean,
right. So they booted this guy. So then Don Mattingly went nuts. He came out of the dugout. He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "It's the first pitch of the game." And then, they go back to the Braves manager and he's like, "Look, it just happens too often." He's like, I forget how many times, but if you look at the stats, they've hit him a lot. But, he's a good player. So, you got to question what's going on there. But here's the fun fact about that. So the starting pitcher got the L, like he got the loss. So he's the first pitcher in baseball history to take a loss after throwing only one pitch.
Oh. All that warm up, all that book work you did, all the stretching, one pitch, goes to them.
One pitch, you're out of here. So but that's what's cool about baseball is every day there's like some weirdo stat that someone manages to accomplish. Okay.
Now, I gotta be honest. You throw a guy out, you should suspend him.
Right. Yeah.
If we're going to be consistent in Major League Baseball, if you really believe, because if you're going to throw him out, that means don't throw him out and they go, all right, no, we're not going to do the paperwork on this one. You know what I mean? You just sit out for no, this isn't like youth sports.
Just go sit in the clubhouse.
But, like youth sports, every now and then the ump will go, listen, I'm not going to throw him out, but take him out of the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not playing again today. And the coach goes, yeah, I get it. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That doesn't exist.
Because then you're going to do MIAA, like,
exactly, right? So you toss the dude out of the game.
Yep.
He should be suspended for 5 games.
Yep. I agree.
One fucking pitch.
Yeah, exactly. So that, and by the way, I personally don't think it was intentional. Go look at it on your own time. But it's ridiculous. But in any case, all right. So speaking of trade deadline acquisitions, just another aside on Chris Sale, who we should be seeing in a couple of weeks. So word on the street is he was thrown off a mound yesterday, hit 95 on the gun, and again he's working his way back. So hopefully that 95 will translate into an occasional 97, 98. But that's really good news. I think he's going to be okay. I was a little skeptical for a while, but at least the Chris Sale we were watching back in the 2018 we were watching a guy who we knew his arm was going to fall off at any minute.
Yeah.
So good to kind of just be like, okay, like, let's just get it done.
It's over with, hopefully.
Over with. Like, now we can kind of get back into, I know he's lost a season and a half or whatever it's been, but I mean, if you're going to miss any season, 2020 was a season to miss. So, I mean, let's see what, let's see what he can do. I think
good news. I am so sick of every year, though. It's just it just seems like, well, no, you got to remember when player X comes back, that's kind of like getting somebody in a big trade. You know what I mean? Like we do this every year. And I do. I think he's going to be, with what science does for that surgery and stuff. So I do think it's going to, in the long run, be a positive thing. I think it goes more to my point of why they should probably get another starting pitcher for depth, because for people to think that he just all of a sudden gets inserted into the lineup and he's pitching every 5 days and he's going 7 innings. No, that's not. It's going to be a slow, even when he's in there, his first start might be 70 pitches. You know what I mean? 3 innings. So I think you still need that extra guy in so you can give him an extra day rest and things like that if you need to.
And that's a good point. And that's why maybe having more of a swingman type player would work as well.
Yes.
Because you know, if he is only going 4 innings, or if you're going to put him on a pitch count, you know, then a guy like that can step up and you know, take over the 6th and 7th or something, you know, what, or the, you know, the 5th and 6th inning or something, you know, whatever the case is. Give him, you know,
you're a valuable pitcher, man. If you're not great, but you can do like an emergency start on a Wednesday, and then on Saturday you can pitch in the 6th inning or something like that. That makes you a valuable guy for a team.
Absolutely. All right. One final thing. Today, and you know, I'm watching the highlights of the game yesterday, and I'm going to start tallying this because it's out of control. And we've talked about this before. I personally am not a huge fan of the Red Sox alternate uniforms. Okay, so they
Red ones.
They wear the red tomato can ones at home. Those are the ones I dislike the most, actually. The blue tops are okay. I mean, they're batting practice jerseys. That's what they used to wear for batting practice back in the day. So I always call them the batting practice jerseys. But here's the thing. The home whites and the away grays are now no longer the Red Sox primary uniforms.
Oh.
They are no longer.
You don't see them as much. It's definitely
if you look, it is almost every day they are wearing those alternate tops. It used to only be on Friday nights. If they were home on a Friday night, and some Sundays, I think there was some Sundays that they wore them. But the original plan was Friday night home games, they wore the red. Friday night away games, they wore the blue. And that was kind of it. You know, they might have worn them on like getaway game, you know, the getaway days where they have the afternoon games and stuff like that. But that was it. That is not the case. Now when I see the home whites and the away grays, I'm like, oh my God, they're not wearing their colored jerseys. So I'm gonna
softball uniforms,
I'm really gonna take a look at this. You know, I know it's not a big deal, but I'm a uniform guy.
Important.
You know, I mean, what's that?
This is important. Stop it.
I mean, but I'm a uniform guy, man. You know, I like tradition. You know, I don't mind getting, you know, a little bit different, right? Like when they had these, I know the listeners, but you know, they had these the Red Sox away jerseys where they changed the lettering to blue and they changed the font a little bit. But this is just like the one they had in the 80s.
Yeah,
just a little bit more stylized. I don't have a problem with that. But you know, when you say, oh, these are our alternate jerseys, they're not. They're your primary jerseys because now you're wearing them every day. So, you know, and look, it's like, well, it's, you know, to sell merchandise. I mean, they've been wearing these things for 10 years.
Yeah, they can sell them anyways. I mean,
and you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they it's not like these are new this year and they're like, oh, we really have to showcase these. They've been wearing these for 10 years. But it seems this year, in recent years, that's all they wear.
Now these jerseys have the players' names on them, right?
The away ones do.
So the home ones don't, anyways, right? So I was thinking maybe it's the players who want their names on the jerseys. I don't know, because it doesn't the starting pitcher get to decide what they're wearing? Is that how that works? Is that still a thing, or am I making that up?
I mean, it might be. I don't think that's. I think that's one of the unwritten rules of baseball, right? Okay. But yeah, I mean, but like when I picture guys, you know, recent guys who have joined the Red Sox, like when I think of Rafael Devers, I always picture him with a colored top on. When I think of Nathan Eovaldi, I always picture him with the blue top on, like, you know, pitching against the, like these recent JD Martinez. When I say his name, he's at home at Fenway Park with a red jersey, like the white jersey, like, you know, it's not like when I think of Dustin Pedroia, I think of him in his clean home whites. You know, it's not when I think of like Dwight Evans, you know, in his the away grays of the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And I don't know how to stop it. I'm gonna try to.
I don't know how to stop it. I hate to say it to you, Mark.
I have to start writing some letters if I have free time.
Well, first of all, we need some data. So you have some homework now.
I have some homework that I'm gonna do, yes. And it starts tonight. Actually, you know what? I'll start it from yesterday because I know that they wore the colored jerseys yesterday. So, all right, that is it for episode 102. Andy, you got anything else? Good?
No, it's fun. This year so far, because we're coming up the All-Star break. I think we got so far we have to be pretty happy with what we got. And
absolutely.
Definitely this is a year where it wasn't expected. So let's just keep the train rolling, man. I don't know how good they are for as far as playoffs goes. I don't know what happens when, when the lineup gets condensed and you get to start seeing, we expect a lot more from these pitchers and things like that. But as of right now, I think they're as good of a chance as anybody with a chance.
Hey, they're on pace right now for over 100 wins, if you can believe that. And
this is insane. Yeah.
This is the team that I thought was going to win I think it was I called 77.
Yeah.
They're going to win 77 games. So, hey, can't complain. All right, that's episode number 102 of Loaded on Lansdowne, Red Sox Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Chikaris. Alongside me always, Andrew Andrews, and we will see you next time.
Peace.